What's up guys, and welcome back to some more Pokemon Sun and Moon coverage. And today, this is basically Alola Analysis version 2 part 2, since we did some analysis on the original island we saw, and now we have a couple more islands to look over. Now obviously these aren't as, I don't say as in high detail, because they are pretty detailed, but we can't make out some things, some things are a bit blurry, but we can speculate on the larger things and sort of think about it there. Hopefully that makes any sense. I don't know. So here is the Alola region. So we're going to take a sort of a general look at each island, and then we'll come back and look at the region as a whole. So we'll start off with the starting island, zooming into it, and we'll see here. Obviously we have the starting village at the top. That was pretty obvious there. We also have this building down by the base of the crater, I guess we can call it, is the Professor's Lab, I think. This is my sort of prediction at least. Professor's Lab or some other thing related to Kukui, since that seems to be what the promos are hinting. Then there is also, you can see here, a farm basically next to this Pokemon Center that's just off of the road. It looks to be a farm at least, because you have this big barn-like building for an area in front. So it would be a farm of some sort in my eyes at least. And also looking at the town here, we have what is clearly a ferry port now with this blue building here. And also there is this green building to the left side of it, not the one all the way to the left, but sort of in the middle on the left, which has a bit of a, I don't know, to me it looks a bit more special than the others, because obviously the other buildings are simple block buildings, but this one has sort of like two white things on the sides and then a round top, and that's it. So it might be a gym there, is my thinking. I wouldn't expect you to be able to sort of battle it straight away when you go into the town. Maybe it's like once you've battled the gym, you can leave this island. Who knows, that would be a good way to start it off, but who knows at the moment. So those are the things I picked out, but there are other red circles that are going to appear now that we're going to have a look at. The first of them is going to be on the crater here. Obviously the crater in the centre, we saw what I believe to be a screenshot of being inside the crater, so it seems like we can go in there at some point, although there doesn't look like there's much actually in there. And obviously the access to this area would likely be on this small beach just at the base of it, and you probably, once you get surf, you can go across into it and then enter the crater. It would probably be like you can visit it back again and get some items or whatever. Other red circles we have up by the start village. There seems to be what is an entrance to a forest of some sort, whether it will be like a full forest with wild Pokemon and you can go through it and it leads somewhere or something like that, or whether it would just be like a little starting area, like an alcove related to the village. Like sometimes you have, instead of it being another area, it's related to the village, but it's just a small little, I don't know, maybe like a shrine of some sort. That's a possibility, I don't know. Other things on the left side of the island by this, I guess, maroon coloured house, which is most likely a bed and breakfast, motel, that's the one, because we did see some concept art for a motel, and it seems to have a car park, so it's likely it would be a motel in my eyes. Seems to be what's entrance to another forest here. You can see the path leading off, and it doesn't really seem to lead into anything particularly. So my thoughts would be another small forest there maybe, because obviously there are more trees and such surrounding that, so maybe there's something extra there. And then you can see the path actually leads up and around the back of the island. The last map we saw we couldn't really see because it was obviously taken right from the front. This is slightly to the side, so it seems like we can actually go around the island, go back, and it seems like this path is going to lead all the way around the back of the island to sort of what you can see here is other red circle. This path seems to go around and maybe goes to the top of this small mountain area for some reason of some sort, who knows. But as well as that, there is also a cave in this, I guess, far cliff. There's a cave just on the bottom, cave entrance. You can't see it in this map, but there is one, so it's possible we could go in the cave here, and it could be like a cave where you go up the floors, and then you can come out at the top. So when you start the game, originally, or when you can't really access the cave initially because you need surf. So it might be a case of it just a shortcut or something like that, but who knows. That is the first island there. That's sort of everything I picked out there. So we're going to move on to the west island there, the most west island, which seems to be quite an interesting island actually, because there's not a huge amount of civilization there. First up we see the ferry, or what would most likely be the point of access to this island. You can see basically a sort of a town on the water, very similar to Pacific Town from the home region, and I'm assuming the ferry would come into there, and obviously you've got like a couple big buildings, the Pokemon Center, maybe a few other buildings in there as well, but you can't really tell quite now, and there's this random green area in the center. Could be a tree of some sort, but who knows. Two other things for this island in general. There's what looks to be a temple on the left side. You can see this big tall triangular thing with a white entrance in front. That most likely is the area where we saw Solgaleo and Lunala appear in the last or in the very first trailer, they were in front of some sort of temple thing, so possibly this is where the legendaries are caught, and this island is the last one you visit, or sort of like the third one you visit, or something like that. Who knows? And as well as that, there also seems to be a very nice huge tree, not just like a big tree, a huge tree. I'm referring to it as the world tree, but it's just a name for big trees, towards the back there. Who knows what that is? Maybe it's related to the legendaries, maybe it's just a huge tree, maybe it'll be a gym, you sort of very similar to the gym in Kalos region, which is shaped like a tree, and you go and you go up the tree. Or it could be something completely unrelated, maybe post-game, something like that, who knows. Other things to pick out from this island, obviously the entrance to the tree there, so it indicates we're actually going inside the tree, so it's a Deku tree, and we can assume the way this tree is accessed is through this sort of canyon-like area towards the north of the island. You can see I've highlighted the two entrances there with the two red circles. Other sort of highlights I've got here, there's obviously another entrance to the canyons in the middle, to where you would go towards the temple. There's an entrance on the floor here, so surely you go through the canyon at some point. Maybe then you climb up some slopes to get to this green-like sort of platform, and then as you can see there's a bridge just about going across, and that obviously leads to the temple there. Other things, there seems to be a jungle/forest-like area just to the right of that, sort of splitting off these two canyon entrances, and what seems to be like two entrances going in and out of that, as well as a small other canyon section just off to the left-hand side. You can see it sort of just goes in and comes out again, so there's probably like a little extra area there. There's also this black rocky area on the coastline. What is it? I don't know. Seems to be like geysers of some description. Whether there'll be a sort of an accessible area, it's unknown at the moment. Of course, we don't know anything. But it's possible you could access it from the the path going on the shoreline. You can go across it, and there'll be, I don't know, maybe there's a sort of a cave you can go inside in the bigger geyser, something along those lines. Who knows? Other things, there seems to be another small forest just off of the sort of the ferry port here, of what I would assume to be a forest. At least you can see some trees around there, and I'm assuming there's like a sort of path that goes around it, so another forest there. And it also seems to be something on the left hand side of the island. You can see these two juts coming out. Who knows what that is? Maybe there's a cave entrance there, possibly. And obviously there's a beach as well there as well. Then there's also this other small island just to the bottom of this one. There seems to be nothing on it at all, but it's likely that it will be accessible. Most likely via a ferry. You're not going to be able to surf to it because the surfable areas are the ones encased within the black rocks. But it's likely the ferry point, there'll be a point where the ferry can take you, possibly after game, who knows. And then the only thing really of note on the island is the big hill towards the back of it, so maybe there will be an event there, or a character there, or something like that, that will be of note there in possibly the after game, or the post game, or something like that. So then if we come back out again, and we're going to go and zoom into the what I'm calling the North Island, sort of the Northeast Island, and it's bigger than the original, bigger than the starting island, so there's a bit more to look at here. So first up, I've only got two big things to point out here. First one is the ferry port, which seems to be on this sort of south section of the island. You can see this little hut, I guess I'm going to call it, but it could also be a ferry port just to the north of that as well. You see a big blue building, very similar to the ferry port on the first island, so it's possible that's the case there. You could get a ferry to either one. It could be like a split path, so you can go either way. Who knows? Other thing I'm pointing out here, you can see just above that purported ferry destination, you can see this nice blue and white building. Is this possibly the water gym from the initial concept screenshots we saw, or not necessarily water gym, but some sort of water related place we saw in concept screenshots, where there is obviously this roundabout sort of thing with this building here? Looks to be. That's the only two big things I could point out that I could put a name on, because obviously there are loads of other things here. For example, starting where we've been, obviously down on the south section there's a lighthouse there, and there's a small town. It seems to be a graveyard there, and also an entrance to this sort of hilly area, and then the exit is just north of there, and you can see the road just going inside. Other things, there's also north of this town area, you can see some sort of grove, or there's like a lake and there's some grass there, so it's possibly an area there. And again, if you follow the road to the east, you can see what looks like another forest with possibly another entrance there leading you north. If we go north, you can see obviously there's a town there as well, and going a bit further, it seems to be like possibly another ranch of some description. And to the east of this path, coming off towards this mountainous area, you can see possibly a path leading into a cave of some description, and going further north, possibly another entrance to a forest there. There's also a Pokemon Center there, so it suggests it's like a little stop off. and obviously to the left there you have these water sections with the water dropping down. Who knows what that is right now? It's obviously based off of some sort of geological thing, but who knows if it's going to actually be made into anything. Maybe you'll be able to run along and go up and down with waterfall and such. Going slightly more north of that, you can see there's a building there, and also a sort of path that wraps around the top of the island. You can't see it, so it might go in a forest of some description, or it might go curve all the way around the island. Coming back down and looking at the east side of the island, just off this mountain section, you can see what looks to be a sort of a road leading inside it, or leading possibly just to go around the top of it, coming off of this town section with this really weird blue building. Who knows what that is? And obviously sort of like car park you can see on the right hand side there. Who knows what the building right next to that is? And obviously further down you have the Pokemon Center and a house and some sort of like open plan area. And then even further down from that you can see this, what I'm going to call a resort. It looks like a resort to me. This sort of brown building with a couple of blue buildings, as well as all these white, I guess I'm going to call them parasols on the beach. It looks like they be parasols, hence the resort. And it also looks like there's a golf course just on the right hand side of it, so that's what I'm going off of there. But obviously right now we don't know anything. But that's that island, and then we'll move on to the final island, or not the final island, but the biggest island we have, which has a lot of things I've pulled out here. Starting off, we have obviously the ferry port once more. You can see the blue building on the right hand side. Ferry, easy, boom there. Then we have a town right next to it full of greenhouses, as well as this sort of walled off section with a nice pond and a bridge and such. And it's obviously this tall building behind it. I've put flying gym here because the last time we saw a building like this, excluding like Ho-Oh and Lugia's places of residence, was for the flying gym in Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Gold and Silver and such. So that's why I've put that there, but that's just complete speculation. Moving sort of south from here, well, not south, rather, let's go north. You can see this blue sort of two twins at the top of this mountain range, and I put power plant there because it does look a bit like a power plant. These two huge, like a nuclear power plant almost. So that's why I put that there. But obviously, right now I don't know. Moving further around, we have a city or a town in the top left of the island, which I've put. It's a walled city basically. It's got big, tall walls around it. Who knows why? But it looks pretty cool in my opinion. Going further south down this path along the left side, we have what looks to be a marsh section there. It's sort of the trees give way, and you have this sort of area with a bit of mist and some sort of brown earth and such. So I don't know. And just to the right of that, you have a really weird sort of, I don't know what it is, but I put grove. There's like 6 sort of stones, and then there's a platform in the middle. So maybe it's related to legendaries of the region. Who knows? But I put grove there. Sweeping further, there is also the base of this huge mountain. What looks to be, I've put a fort here. It's a really weird white building. It doesn't seem to be part of a town or anything. It's just on its own. So I've put fort, maybe a castle. Who knows really what this will be, what it's relate to. And then further south of this here, you can see out in the water, just to the left of this, peninsula, but the base of the island, just to the left of it, you can see basically a square platform. It's pretty much exactly square. I've put underwater base here. Like, why is there a square platform out in the middle of the sea? Maybe there'll be a lift that takes you down, and there'll be like an underwater base, maybe for the evil teams, or maybe it'll just be something completely unrelated to that. But that was my idea for that. You can also see these 2 big lifts that come up. There's actually 2 at once, one big one and one smaller one. You can see there's a sort of a platform with a yellow outline and a lift that goes straight up to the top of the mountain, and then just to the right of it there's also a lift that comes down and brings you onto this section right next to it. Then at the top of the mountain there is possibly something of interest here. You can see a Pokemon Center on its own, which usually, this top of a mountain might suggest the Elite Four, the Pokemon League, and that's what I've put here, because you see if you follow the mountain further up, you have this snowy area with what looks to be like a canyon in the middle, so hence, like, instead of Victory Road being a cave, you have some sort of canyon area, and then this Ice Palace at the back, which could possibly be the Elite Four, the Pokemon League. Right now we don't know, or it could be like an ice gym, on top of the mountain, or, again, it could be related to the legendaries of the region. Who knows? That's all of the sort of stuff I picked out, so then we'll have some more yellow circles, or red circles rather. Starting off the original village here, there seems to be two roads leading off of the town we sort of arrived to. One heads right into the mountain, so possibly leads to a cave of some sort, and one heads south into what looks to be a forest, and this path actually looks to wrap around and come up to this next, I guess I'm going to call it a village, where it's like 3 sort of sections and then a green section with some more white things inside. Who knows what that is, but it seems to wrap around there, and then the path actually goes through the village, comes down past this yellow building, and then heads down to sort of a rocky area down to the bottom. Then if we look at this sandy section between between the mountain and the village we were just on, there seems to be a drop, I guess you could say, from this section down to the bottom. It might be nothing of interest, or it might be a route you can take, some sort of very tall and steep route, who knows at the moment. And then if we get back to the left hand side, they have this section of the island that is more water than anything else. You have some little islands in between, and in the very middle island you can see there is another grey square. Now this actually pops up a few times. There's one here, there's one at the base of the mountain as well, and there's obviously the underwater base which is similar. But who knows what this is? What's this base? What's this grey square just like sat here for? What's it do? Who knows? It might be related to something. Who knows again? Going further north, there's an entrance to the marsh there, and obviously the marsh will then lead into the grove, and then the marsh will have an exit to the north as well. And then featuring that is also a little blue house on this pathway here. Who knows what the blue house will be for? Maybe something I don't know. And then finally looking at the power plant, there seems to be a path leading south from the power plant, and it wraps around to sort of the right hand side of the mountain. We can't see anything because it gets hidden by the rest of the mountain, but maybe it connects to the road that came off of the initial village, or maybe it leads down into the mountain somewhere in a cave of some sort you have to travel through. Who knows? But that was sort of the 4 main islands, and there's also the artificial island as well. Who knows what the hell that is though. And it's very small, obviously. It's just this sort of one white section with a curve and then another sort of building at the top. Building could possibly be some sort of castle or something very similar to the Kalos Elite Four. It was sort of a very open plan, huge building. Could be very similar to that. And obviously the ferry could take you here, and it could be a Pokemon League again. The ferry of Alola might be based off we can only take you if you've got this. If you have to have 1 badge to go on the first ferry. You have to have 3 badges to go on the second, etc., etc. And obviously to have access to this area, go on that ferry, you need to have 8 badges. Could be something like that. They'll do it. That would make a lot of sense to me, as being opposed. Oh yeah, sorry, the ferry's broken at the moment. Conveniently, it's now moved. We can use it again now that you've reached the correct point in your journey. Who knows? But let's look at Alola as a whole. Obviously, if we put all the annotations on that I did, boom, there you go, loads of stuff. And I'm going to actually show you some sort of overlays. Here are all the areas I've picked out as towns, circled in yellow. You can see, strangely enough, on the westernmost island there's only actually 1 town, unless of course this sort of rocky area in the centre is another town, possibly, who knows. There's only 1 town there. It seems to be 2 towns on the starting island, the starting village and the main city. The other sort of buildings there on the left side and the right side I haven't counted as towns. Towns I've said, oh yeah, like more than 2 or 3 buildings, Obviously the left one has like 3 buildings, but I don't think it's a town as such, because the path literally leads straight from the city to this town, so it doesn't look like there's anything in between at all. So they might keep it as the same thing. On the third island, the northernmost island, you can see I've circled 5 towns actually. 1 on the sort of southern section, 1 main entrance area, the resort, as well as this sort of weird open plan town, and the smaller one inside the forests. There could be another one to the north, of course, hidden behind some forests. Who knows? Depends whether they class that as a town or not. And then on the larger island, we can see I have circled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towns. The wall town, power plant I have listed as a town because it does look like there's possibly like 3 buildings to the base of it, as well as a Pokemon Center. So I don't know. That's just what I've done tentatively for the moment. And then the town you arrive to with the big tall pagoda town, as well as the yellow building with the strange white stuff, I've listed as a town. I'm assuming it's a town, I don't know. And then the one right at the base of the mountain almost has got a couple almost shack-like things rather than actual buildings, but I've classed it as a town there. And there could be another town right to the south. You see this building sort of sat on a raised bit by the beach. It could be a town, but it's a single building, so I didn't class it. That's just what I've done so far. If I overlay circles for all the Pokemon centers we have, you can see again The westernmost island only has one Pokemon Center, so that looks like it might be like a final island, you know, sort of towards the end of the game. And you know, when to reach Legendary, you have to go through all of this dangerous area. Who knows? The starting town has 2 Pokemon Centers, makes a lot of sense there. And then the northern town, not the northern town, but the northern island has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 that aren't in towns; they're just on their own. And then the bigger one. The big island has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so only 5 here. And you can see most of the towns there don't actually have Pokemon Centers. Don't ask me why, especially the one when you first arrived doesn't have a Pokemon Center, unless of course the building is slightly different there. And then the others on the eastern side of that island, again, don't have any Pokemon Centers, unless they're hidden of some sort or different styles, who knows. Other buildings I'm going to circle in blue here. Obviously we have the temple on the westernmost island, and that's the only other thing here, unless of course you cast the tree. On the starting island we have obviously what looks to be a motel on the western side, as well as a farm, the professor's house, as well as another house on the eastern side. Then on the northernmost island there's only one other sort of area with the building, which is right at the north of the island. Could end up being a town, could just be a single building on its own, who knows. And then on the final island, the biggest island, we have obviously there is also right next to the power plant there's also a small green building which is further down close to the sea, so who knows what that is. And there's obviously the blue building that's on the path from the walled city to the marsh. There's also this weird, I guess I've classed as a building. It's next to the Pokemon Center out after the marsh, and it seems to be a building of some sort. If anything, I'd say it's like a caravan or a motorhome, because that's what it looks like, but who knows. And obviously further down we have the fort and the house by the beach. Then I have done it in green, all of the forests, you know, all the possible forest areas we've seen. So obviously on the starting island first, there's the one behind the starting village, and there's also the one near the motel. On the westernmost island, I've circled a tree there, because if it's going to be like an area, it's going to be a foresty area. And there's also the jungle-like area, and the possible other forest I've circled there. On the northernmost island, there's the one down by the lighthouse. There's the one between sort of the initial village and then the north intersections, and there seems to also be another forest to the north. And then on the final island, the biggest island, there is just simply the marsh there. There's not really any other forests there that you could see going into. And then finally we have caves, etc. Which, you know, like caves, rocky areas, or other sort of areas you can enter that don't go under forests. On the starting village there's only the single cave, as well as the crater that you could go into, or there could be others, of course we don't know. On the westernmost island there's the 2 canyon areas that you could enter and do some stuff in, who knows what that's about. Then on the northernmost island we have the 2 entrances, what looks to be into the mountain, and I've also circled all these water areas on the left side, because they might not necessarily be caves, but they are a different sort of area. And on the largest island we have firstly the rocky area on the far right of the island, which seems to be some sort of like path around the shoreline. There's also the desert-like area between the top of the mountain and the shoreline, and then I've circled 2 entrances possibly to the mountain a bit further up, as well as this long sort of canyon area right on the top of the mountain. Obviously I haven't mentioned the artificial island at any point here, because it's just simply a single building, so there's nothing too much to look at there. Now, if you've made it so far in this video, congratulations, because I'm going to reveal the other thing you might not have noticed about this map. If I put the circle there, boom, up to the top of the right of the image, you can see, hidden behind some cloud, there is another small island there with what seems to be a sapling growing out of it. I couldn't tell you what the hell it is. It's like a small island with a huge palm tree, or some sort of sapling, or I don't know at the moment. What is it? I have no clue. Maybe it's some sort of after game thing, some sort of event island you can get to possibly. And of course there could also be other small islands hidden behind some of these clouds, although I doubt it, since they didn't do that with Kalos in the end. Kalos, obviously the map there was like, oh, there's clouds around, maybe there's hidden stuff, but no. So I don't think there's going to be anything extra, but the small island to the top right is very interesting. So if you have any ideas what that is, let me know down below. And if you made it this far, congratulations, you've wasted 24 minutes of your life. But also let me know what other things you think about the Kalos, the Alola region map. Is there anything you can pick out and say, yes, this has got to be a thing, Or, do you think the Pokemon League is going to be on this artificial island? Or do you think it's going to be at the top of this nice icy mountain? Or, anything like that. Let me know what you think down below. Be interesting to see what you all think of these ideas. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.